And yes, I had to cut off the last video, because YouTube only allows like a certain amount of time per video or whatever, I guess, until you get established. Um, so here's the thing, and I'm speaking to all you felons that work in law enforcement in San Mateo County, primarily in California. Calling my parents and threatening them, that's witness intimidation and obstruction of justice. And likewise with the rest of my family, calling them and threatening them, obstruction of justice and witness intimidation. And, all the emails with full headers and voicemail and text messages and stuff. Yeah, a lot of that might be online. I still might have a lot of that online, but a lot of it's not online either. So there you go. I'm a little smarter than you give me credit for. And I might be tired, and y'all might have been hypnoling and raping me for years and 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 years. You might have been perjuring yourselves and stalking me and suborning perjury and soliciting perjuring and, soliciting attempted murder and trying to murder me and, you know, slandering me and soliciting slander and writing libel about me and soliciting libel and having people stalk me on your behalf and pimping and soliciting pimping, so forth and so on. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. But I still have some brain cells intact, and I still can think pretty well sometimes. So no matter what you do to me, I still have a brain for the most part. Unfortunately for you all. And, to the Los Altos town crier, felons, and myredbook.com members and Republicans at the Los Altos town crier, you might want to be a little smarter and not deliberately hang up on people and then have them brought up on illegal charges to shut them up and to silence them. That's obstruction of justice and witness intimidation. Yeah, and to the police officer at the myredbook.com Republican Felon Police Department, yeah, don't threaten me ever again. Ever, 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 ever. And that goes for the rest of law enforcement. Don't ever fucking threaten me. And yes, I'm going to cuss. And yes, I can be passionate. But I have never been violent. As opposed to what Greg Chappell might say, well, perjurer. But that's not even his real name. He's a mafia member or an ex-mafia member. I don't know. But I've never been violent towards him, but he definitely has been violent towards me, and you know that. You definitely know that. It'd be interesting, too, what would be found if, a hazardous materials team that was not ethical came into this house. It'd be really interesting to find out what they find, because I guarantee you they're going to find, I don't know, like semen and vaginal fluids from I don't know, corrupt law enforcement and people on Concord Lane and Fairlane Avenue and, like Kylie and streets around here. They're going to find fecal material from Greg Chappell or whatever his real name is. They're going to find urine from Greg Chappell or whatever his real name is. They're going to find fecal matter on his refrigerator. They're going to find urine on his refrigerator. There's going to be a finding of urine from dogs that's over 20 years old. There's going to be a finding of fecal matter from dogs that's over 20 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if there was vaginal fluid from, girls that would have been, underage at a certain point being over here. And anything that anybody that's been underage tells you about what has transpired here is probably true. I've heard stories that like the 49ers football team used to come over here and like the coaches and stuff, and like there were these wild parties full of cocaine and stuff, which I totally believe because I know that, uh, what's his name? David Jenkins or whatever, he definitely is a meth person. Definitely for sure. And I know that Steve Johnson or whatever, like he has lived, where is it again? Somewhere outside the United States, and he's bragged about, having sex with underage kids and whatnot, and paying for it. And, like places like Vietnam and Thailand and wherever the heck he has lived outside of the United States. Yeah. And to the corrupt law enforcement in the Bay Area in particular that's hung up on me to have me brought up on illegal charges. Yeah, that was pretty stupid. Witness intimidation, obstruction of justice. Um, let's see. Rick Zahensky, he raped me. He has definitely an STD going on. He tried to remove warts or genital warts, I should say, with over-the-counter Dr. Scholl's wart remover. He raped me, and where do you think he got his cocaine? Probably from the myredbook.com mob Herbert family, since they have or had a property in Mexico, and the cousin there got booted out of a UC Santa Barbara for drug use, and then the celebrity manager cousin, his wife threatened to divorce him if he didn't go to therapy and quit the drugs. And then there were all those drug-fueled orgy hot tub parties that Richard Herbert attended. Then there was the fact that, I don't know, some courtesan or escort, I would assume, he brought to his parents' house on Waverly Lane in Los Altos, and he wanted me to have a threesome with her when I was underage, and we ended up going to a restaurant in downtown Los Altos. Oh yeah, that was so much fun. That's sarcasm, by the way. Let's see, what else can I tell you about? Oh yeah, so then there was the fact that when I was underage, myredbook.com mob Herbert, Richard Lyon Herbert, tried to get me to pierce my genitalia. Let's see, what else? Oh, right. So when I was underage, myredbook.com mob Republican Richard Lyon Herbert tried to force me to wear like those pull-up leggings or whatever that stick to the top of your legs, and like these tiny short skirts and stuff like that. And yeah, I was underage. Let's see. Then there's the fact, what's the age difference between Richard and I? Isn't that like 6 years or 5 years or something like that? So, a lot of the time he was an adult and I was a minor, no matter how you cut it. And that's statutory rape. Yeah, so you tried to cover that up, and you tried to make me into the bad person and into an illegal felon, and you tried to make me into an illegal criminal because you're covering up a lot of crime. Let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh yeah, then there were those like gray or silver hooker pants that he wanted me to wear, and that purple like hooker shirt or whatever that I showed my roommates at UC Davis, Amanda and her boyfriend Wayne or whatever. I showed that to them. I don't know. Then there was the fact that I was housed in the quiet dorm or on the quiet floor or whatever in Segundo, I think it was, with an actual escort who was 23 years old at the time and Asian American. Now, if she was forced or not, that's not for me to tell you because I don't know. But I do know that she was an escort. And I do know that Simon Pitfield knew that, and I know that now Judge Christine Carlson knew that, and I was told not to say anything about the fact that my roommate or whatever in Segundo on the quiet floor, the quiet dorm or whatever, was having tons of men come to the dorm room. Yeah, this goes back years and years and years and years. And then obviously the June 8th, 1992 attempt on my life was because of Scott Dewar at myredbook.com, mob Mountain View High School, a Republican Mountain View High School. You know, Scott Dewar was on myredbook.com, obviously, like taking, you know, nude photographs of the escorts or whatever on that site. So yeah, him and his wife got a little paranoid, I guess, that I would find out or something, and I don't see how that was going to happen because I didn't even have a laptop until like 2006, and it didn't even work at first. And of course, Rick Zahensky gave it to me, and you know, he did at some point show me how to put memory in it to get it up and working again. And by the way, he introduced me to myredbook.com escorts at the hotel there in Millbrae, and he told me that the staff at the front desk were all escorts on myredbook.com. So yeah, definitely for sure, that whole situation was linked back to the Herberts and their cocaine and LSD and PCP and meth and stuff from their property in Mexico. And then, of course, the cocaine stuff that the girl at Chevy's had that knew Jason Belkin and Scott Belkin. That cocaine came from the Herbert family. And then the cocaine that was in Sunnyvale associated with the Hispanic American older server that drove the black Corvette or whatever, Max, that came from the Herberts. Then that whole situation with the flute student, Ginger was one of the names she used, or Virginia. You know, she had some drug use going on, got herself in an abusive relationship. Well, not got herself into an abusive relationship, but found herself in an abusive relationship. Got pregnant, you know, according to her, was in a mental hospital or whatever. And, you know, miscarried while she was in the mental hospital. Like, all the drugs that, like, she was on were because of the Herberts. Yeah, and, you know, then there's the fact that, oh, I don't know, one of my pain doctors way back in the beginning lived on Orange Avenue right down the street from Gary Herbert, another myredbook.com mob Republican, and I'm going to continue this on the next video. I'll be right back.